It's a pleasure. I don't see a pleasure to welcome to the program Damian Boucher. He's an award-winning violinist or fiddler, and he's also a singer and a songwriter. And Damian, welcome so very much to conversation.
Thanks a lot, Harold.
We had you at a party the other day. You were fiddling away like crazy, entertaining one and all, and you're really accomplished. And it's really good to talk with you now.
Thank you, thank you.
I wonder if you could. We got a 4:58 minutes to play. We're going to play some cuts from your CD, and also you're going to fiddle for us.
Yeah, I'm going to do some
like
live.
That. But I'm wondering if you could. I wonder if you could maybe set the scene a little bit. Where you were born and raised, educated, a little bit like that, and then how you got into the violin or the fiddle, and then we'll let you wail a bit on it and so forth. But your own background, if you could, please.
Yeah. Well, I was a honeymoon baby, conceived in Canada at the Hotel Frontenac.
Wow.
And
you know that for a fact, right? Yeah, right.
Well, yeah. We know when it happened. And then I was born in Chicopee Falls, Massachusetts, not in the waterfall, but in a hospital.
Oh, good. I'm glad. yeah. Easier that way.
And then I grew up in Wilbraham, which most people don't know where it is. It's the home of Friendly Ice Cream. It's central Massachusetts, outside of Springfield.
Near Springfield, Amherst, that area?
No, Amherst is a little further away.
Yeah, a little,
That's a nice
this is
town.
a cultural place out there. My kids all went to school out in that area. Yeah.
Oh, it was nice.
Emily Dickinson country.
Yeah.
Anyway, and what was the family like, if I could?
Crazy.
Crazy. Okay, that's a good beginning, huh? Yeah. Good crazy.
I'm the
There's
eldest
good
of
crazy
6.
and bad crazy.
That's right. There's good crazy and bad crazy.
Yeah. Creative people?
No. My mother was. That's where the music gene, I think, came from.
Okay, right.
Her father, my Pepe, or grandfather.
Yeah.
Pepe in French, was a fiddle player. And she played the piano, my mom, and painted. She did oil painting. My father was an accountant, and he worked for Chase Manhattan Bank later on in his career. So, yeah, he loved music, but he wouldn't know a musical note if he tripped over it.
It happens, yeah. People
but you have to have an audience.
You got to have an audience. Fans, you got to have fan clubs. Posses, they call them.
Exactly.
I think, in the modern vernacular.
But he would cry when he heard me play.
Really? So, that's really good.
The only time he would cry.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
You brought tears to his eyes?
I used to bring,
That's really something,
It is something.
And we said in pre-talk a little bit before the camera started that you picked up the violin at a tender age of around 7 or so.
That's right.
Okay. Remember? Can you remember back that far?
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember being 7 very well. Yeah, a little bit.
I got a violin from my grandfather.
From Pepe?
From Pepe.
Yeah.
And he gave fiddle. Everybody would give him fiddles.
Yeah.
Well, because he was a fiddle player.
Yeah.
Most people give up on the instrument because it's so hard.
It is?
Yeah, it's a very difficult
Violin is a difficult instrument,
Most difficult instrument in the world to play.
Is that a fact? You know that from a fact?
That's what they say, yeah.
Why? Who's they that says this? I mean, the music world in general recognizes that?
Yeah.
I'll be darned, really. That's interesting. You don't happen to know when did it come into the, when was the violin first developed?
The first bowed instruments appeared in China. Believe it or not. And after that, I think they had something in Africa, but the Chinese had the first bowed instruments.
Okay.
And then they evolved and changed. But going back to where I started, the violin at 7, and I started out as with classical lessons. I really wanted to play guitar, but my father gave me a choice. He said, "I'm paying for violin lessons or nothing."
Well, your father or your Pepe said that?
My father.
Your father said that?
He was the one who was paying for things.
Well, that's an interesting movie. It would make a great movie, in terms of all that going on. You were 7, right?
Right.
And you had a feel for music at that
I had a natural ability. I started playing it on my own.
Yeah.
And my mom said, "Hey, look."
He seemed to get a feel for it.
Right.
Even though it's the most did you say the most difficult instrument to play?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, it is.
More than a big old church organ or something,
Well, they're hard too.
Yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong. To be accomplished at any musical instrument is difficult.
I guess, yeah.
All right? But there's some that are easier, to play, like keyboards, But the violin, the hardest part of the violin or any bowed instrument is the bowing, because you're coordinating all these large muscles with little finger muscle and finger movements.
And it's very subtle. It's very subtle, isn't it? Because you can just get a different tone or timbre or something like that you can put into it. It's very control. A lot of emotion involved.
There's a lot of emotion.
Yeah, right.
It's one of the closest instruments to the human voice.
Is that right?
The violin.
Boy, I'm learning here. I didn't realize that. That's really interesting. I don't know. They had violins back in the Baroque times and everything. Just trying to think when they first got notation. Well, we don't know what the songs or the instruments would have been at, say, the Emperor Julius Caesar or something time, you know, back a couple thousand years or something. Or do we have it from depictions of art or some sort of thing?
They did have violins. They were.
They did.
In the 16th century,
no, I mean, at the time of Christ or something, you know, way back in emperor days of Rome or that, you know. I don't know how far back the musical instruments go. We did a program once with a fellow who said the banjo was invented in Tanzania, what is now Tanzania in Africa.
Right. Music. It was called the Benai.
It was?
Yeah. When it came to this country with the African slaves.
Yeah.
And then they added a fifth string to it to make the 5-string banjo. And they would play old Celtic.
And is that the lineage of the guitar and do you get 12-string guitar and that kind of stuff? All of that. It's a really interesting thing.
The guitar actually. You know, I do a lecture series on the history of American music.
No kidding. Well, I've come to the right guy, right?
Yeah, so I can answer some of these questions. The guitar actually came from Spanish vaqueros through
out of Spain,
out of Spain and Mexico.
And
it was the original folk instrument. It wasn't a guitar. It wasn't a cowboy on a horse with a guitar.
No,
it was actually a fiddle. Because it was smaller and more compact, as you see.
There is the
fiddle.
Here it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Very easy to travel, and it held up good under different weather conditions. And
okay, so you picked it up at 7 and so forth. Then you went to normal schooling and that kind of stuff.
Right.
I heard you say you did some English teaching at university or something.
Yeah,
like that?
I studied music also.
You did music.
Yeah,
the humanities.
I was a natural with it. And so I didn't have very good teachers. It was hard to find a good violin teacher back then.
I guess so. It depends on where you are. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
There wasn't that many around, and so I didn't have very good teachers. So I learned a lot on my own, and the classical, the Schirmer classics, and the Kreutzer studies and the etudes.
I don't know what any of that means.
I was doing those.
Those are tutorials that are there
for
learning the violin?
The building blocks for becoming a good classical violinist.
Do you think anybody could learn to play the violin, or is it something you have to sort of have a special feel for?
You have to have
in the arts in general, or
you
creative,
have to have
you know?
some
sort of a gene or something.
Yeah. It really helps if you have a good ear. And you're born with that. You can't learn how to do that.
Mozart had perfect pitch.
Right.
He was something else, man. That was really something.
So, because you know, there's no frets, as you can see.
Yeah, right.
So you have to hear very good, because if you're a hair off, the note's out of tune.
That's right.
You know, it
I
sounds
guess that's
terrible.
true. That's one of the reasons it's the most difficult instrument in the world to play, as you say. Yeah,
and it's such a high frequency. Yeah. So when you're out, when you play a bad note, everybody hears it.
Now, I said to you before, sort of half joking, sometimes it's called a violin, sometimes it's called a fiddle.
Right.
And I think the violin would be more with the traditional classical music, and the fiddle would be for more bluegrass and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, bluegrass and Irish and Celtic.
I like the term fiddle, don't you?
Yeah.
You got your emails fiddling, I think. Right. That's really good. So you did that. Then did you train? Profession or get training and so forth in that?
Yeah.
Or you picked it up at 7 and you could just start wailing.
I picked it up and was doing classical. I mean, I quit at the age of 11 because I really wanted to play the guitar, and I started learning how to play guitar, teaching myself how to play guitar, That's what I did.
Do you think if somebody can play the piano or play the flute or something, they are going to be able to easier play a violin or something? Does the muse migrate? And does the muse migrate between music and art or something, you know?
Right.
What do you think? You hang out with poets and things like that?
Right. If you play a musical instrument, if you play a stringed instrument, and you know how to read music already, you can transfer that knowledge over to the violin. It'll be easier.
If you know how to read the notational system.
Right. That'll help.
That only comes from about the Baroque, I think. They had a notational system, put it on. We don't know what the music was at the Augustus Caesar time. We don't have any notational.
But we do know the Italians invented the way of notating music.
Is that true?
That we have now.
That would have been what, 14th century, 15th?
Way back.
Yeah. Anyway, that's good.
And the violins, the shape that we have now, the design that we know, all came from Stradivarius.
Yeah.
He came up with that design. It's shaped like a woman, as you can see.
A woman? Oh, round.
Yeah. Those Italians.
Yeah, those Italians. Amore.
Yeah, amore.
Yeah.
And that's really, that design stuck with, well, I guess, Madi and Stradivarius and Guarnerius, the great Italian makers. Back in the 1700s.
So did you set aside, or do you still, because you still do singer and songwriter, you're a songwriter as well, as being a violinist or a fiddler, and also you know, a singer. Did you stick with the violin, or did you get off into guitar, or did you get off into saxophone or anything like that? You know?
I did. I went all over. I played the clarinet. I tried everything out, and just trying to find out what I was best at. But I always was back to the violin because that's what I had a natural gift for.
You had the natural gift.
And I knew if I wanted to advance myself in my musical career, I had to become a songwriter and create. I had melodies coming to me anyway, and then the words were harder, but that's why I was an English major with a writing concentration. So I could so I learned all the poetic devices. So I knew how to bend the rules, and so I wrote a lot of songs. And after about 200, I started getting good at it.
I finally got the knack, huh?
Yeah.
And you have all kinds of things. Okay, well, listen, I don't know how to start. We got so much. We got a little clip from a CD of you we want to play and everything. But you also have the vehicle in your hand at the moment. And I wonder if maybe you could, since you've got this background, right? You could show us or give us a little lesson in terms of the sound of that instrument that you're holding in your hand now.
Yeah, well, what flavor of music should I do?
Well, I don't know. Why don't we leave it up to you?
Okay.
I mean, because it goes all the way from bluegrass to classical, so whichever you might want to just to give us a little rendition here, we'll record it on the machine.
I'm going to start off with a fiddle, a little fiddling, a little Irish Celtic tune that also became a big bluegrass hit. It's called Red Haired Boy. I don't know why I like this song.
Well, whatever. You like it. You like it, yeah.
Yeah, the color of my hair.
Okay, wail.
Here we go. Red Haired Boy.
Yeah, here we go. Celtic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the applause.
Yeah, that's really good. That was something else. That's played, and that's all. You're not just doing that a cappella. You're not just making that. I mean, that's a.
I was.
You were sort of fiddling with it. You were fiddling with the fiddling, right?
That's right.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a fun thing to do. You do improvise like that. That's part of a creative way of dealing with it, right? Did that thing have words to it?
It did actually. It was.
In the
these
Gaelic,
songs
maybe?
are so old.
Yeah, right.
They get recycled.
Yeah,
well,
right.
It's also known as the Beggar Man.
All right.
And
yeah.
it was
the other red something or
red-haired boy.
Red-haired boy. It's Irish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Tommy Makem and the Clancy brothers used to do the Beggar Man.
Yeah.
And had a little Beggar Man, something. I don't know the words.
Okay.
So
yeah. Right.
I have to have them in front of me.
But that's an upbeat kind of thing, Irish jig or Irish. I can just see people dancing their head off to that.
Oh
right?
yeah.
They'd be dancing a jig or something like that, and everything like that. It's really good.
They might. I think they might be doing a reel to that one.
A reel, you think? That's what you're envisioning.
Different dances.
Yeah.
The Irish step dancers, they like reels and.
Yeah, they got that stuff on television now with the Celtic dancing. It really knocks you out.
Yeah.
The river dance.
Dance brought it all to this.
Yeah, they brought that up, you know, everything like that.
Forefront, yeah.
Now, what about do you play it all on the classical vein?
Yes, I do.
You do. Now, how about that? Where is that? That's if you play like Mozart or something like that, you know. I mean, that's a different kind of.
I do wedding ceremonies.
Well, do they do wedding ceremonies? Do they have Mozart at wedding ceremonies?
Yeah,
they do.
Like
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, like the romance theme.
Yeah,
and,
right.
You know, Ein Klein knock music.
Now, which do you prefer? Do you like the Irish jig kind of thing?
I like the fast stuff.
Yeah, the fast-moving stuff, right?
Yeah, I like jazz and blues and Cajun and Zydeco.
Cajun, that's a whole nother thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
You want a little taste?
Sure.
Of Cajun?
Yes. Play, man. Play.
That's in the blood.
Don't you also sing in something? If there's something you want to sing, you
feel
free. This is open public access television.
You know, singing and playing the fiddle at the same time
is a little difficult.
Like it's a little difficult, but I'll see what I can do.
Okay, well, don't knock yourself out if it's difficult.
This one's called. This is a Cajun waltz called Jolie Blonde, which means pretty blonde thing.
Okay.
And I'll sing the lyrics in English,
all right.
So our English-speaking audience can understand it.
Okay.
This is how it goes.
That's beautiful. That's really nice. New Orleans jazz. Yeah, that was really good.
Right.
Yeah, that's really good. Now, what about in the classical vein? Do you do anything in the classical vein or not?
Yeah, I do. I usually have to have the sheet music, but I'll do something from memory.
Yeah. That's cool. that's familiar and everything like that. When you get a certain kind of it's like a grind. I don't know what to call it. A rough kind of sound. That's pushing down harder on the bow.
Harder on the bow.
You push on the bow, and that gives this kind of a grinding sound, a deeper
if you get
sound.
closer to the bridge and you push harder, it makes the violin get louder.
Louder.
And if you want it to be softer, you play over the fingerboard and very light.
Oh, there you go.
And then there's the vibrato.
Yeah, that's with your finger you're doing.
Right.
With that finger?
You're doing it with the wrist and the arm, and you're rolling your finger backwards.
And it just all becomes second nature to you, right?
Yeah, after lots of practice.
After lots of practice, it becomes second nature. And then is that, but getting the basics? They say there's a young person out there thinking of doing violin. You can give them some lessons, having learned yourself.
I do give lessons.
You do give violin lessons?
Yes, I do.
Okay, that's good, as well as doing the stuff with the literature and everything like that.
Right. I've taught hundreds of people how to play from beginners to advanced.
Yeah. What about the idea that somebody can just pick up a violin and start playing? Is that all just romantic nonsense or something? Is that a long, drawn-out thing?
It's a very greedy instrument. You need a teacher. Yeah. And you have to put hours in. When I was first starting out, when I got serious, I was putting in 8 to 12 hours a day.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that when you're maybe 10 years old or 11?
No,
or 12?
Later in life.
Later.
I realized, you know, all the competition. There's so many very talented people.
Are there? Yeah.
But you have to put the time in.
Is there a quality of stardom, let's just say, for something else in terms of the violin as an instrument? Is there the greatest violinist ever in the history of the world that you can relate to, like they could say in terms of singing, you know, Caruso or something like that?
There's a few good ones. You know, it's Doc Perlman.
Yeah.
And as far as classical goes, and there's Mark O'Connor, who plays he started with bluegrass and country music, but he plays everything now. Yeah. And he's a monster player. Monster.
There's stars, I guess, of every venue.
And you know, in jazz there was Stephen Grappelli.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Who you know was real good, and Claude Williams, who isn't as well known. But if somebody is like a master, let's say, and you're playing a piece that everyone knows, like you played that little piece that everybody recognizes, a classical piece, if they play it, it can bring tears and quivers up the spine to people in a way that if somebody else plays it, it doesn't. That's right.
Yeah, that's the mark of a master.
The mark of the master.
How many master players are there in the various forms of music, do you think? If we look back over the long history of music, and what accounts for the geniuses just at the level of playing the instrument with such feeling? What are the qualities that lead to a genius performance capability on the part of people, just in terms of playing an instrument?
They were born with a natural ability to begin with, and then they had parents that realized it and then got the best teachers they could find, and then they made them and forced them to practice. I mean, Mozart wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for his father. You think?
You've seen the movie, of course, you know,
right? I did.
And all that. They seem to claim that he had a thing that was just unaccountably able, perfect pitch, and just given a genetic quality that was like some sort of God-given something.
It was a God-given gift.
You know that idea, as opposed to, let's say, if you labor hard, you'll finally become him. But I could labor hard and never become Mozart. You know what I'm saying? There's a differentiation.
You won't.
There's something genetic as well.
He had a natural ability and a gift. And who knows, maybe he was a composer in a previous life.
I think in a previous life. That's a whole other thing and everything. But these are questions that have to do with the arts and that kind of thing. I suppose it translates into, you know, the humanities and the arts, painting and other kinds of things like that. Do you hang out a lot with people that are of the arts or not?
Yeah. I know a lot. That's where I picked up some of my diverse knowledge of music from being always having good musicians in my bands.
In your bands, you had a number of bands.
Yes.
Okay, maybe we could talk a little bit about that. When did you get your first band, and what were you doing?
My
Were
first
you a
band
teenager or what?
I was a teenager, and it was a Grateful Dead Southern rock cover band. We played in bars. I wasn't even old enough to be in the bar rooms.
You were following in the Grateful Dead wake, or is that what you're saying?
We were playing Grateful Dead music.
Oh, playing the Grateful Dead music.
And Allman Brothers.
Yeah.
You know, things like that, country rock. And when the band found out that I had a fiddle at home underneath my bed, they said, "Hey, put that guitar down, get that fiddle out." And so they pushed me with some goading. I got the thing out, but I hadn't played in years.
Really?
So
what were you playing? You were playing guitar?
I was playing guitar.
You were doing guitar? Acoustic?
I totally gave up the violin.
Was it acoustic or electric?
Electric.
Yeah,
both.
Okay.
Both.
Yeah, both, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I was playing lead and rhythm.
So what's your feeling about the violin or the fiddle or the guitar? What's your feeling now?
Well, I love them. I
love
them all.
both equally. Which is your favorite child?
The violin, because
violin, right? Okay. You just got a special feel for it.
I got a special feel for it, right? And there's a lot of really good guitar players, and
that's probably true. Yeah.
And I'm not at that level because I didn't. Of course, you have to put the time in, like I said. And I practice the violin, you know, every day just to keep up my touch. And the guitar, though, I don't pick up.
The movie Amadeus, it depicts Mozart as a free spirit and everything, where you had Salieri was just trying to be very pedestrian and do practice. You keep saying practice, practice, practice. It gave the impression, it may be wrong, that Mozart would just pick it up and do it.
Right.
You know, it's like genius stroke.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
Is there a difference between the genius stroke and the genius mentality or structure or whatever? You know, I'm getting at in terms of the arts. A Picasso or a Michelangelo. You know, I could practice doing oils for every day and never
get to that level.
You understand
never get
what
to
I'm
that
saying?
level.
Is that a thing worth thinking about or not? Or what are the arts or the muse that informs the creative art experience? And
right.
So forth,
well,
what do you think along those lines?
You know, you have to have that wellspring of creativity for it to come from.
Yeah.
I mean, the songs are always out there circling my head, but I don't always get them. The lyrics are the hard part.
Well, now that's different. We're getting. I'm just talking about in the arts in general. You know, how do we account for the standout qualities of the standout, like Picasso or Mozart or?
They were lucky enough to discover they had a gift in that area, and then they honed their craft. They spent many hours. A life honing their craft. I mean, Picasso didn't start. You keep
coming back to that. You don't think they just can pick it up?
No,
it's just there.
No, well, they can.
You understand what I'm getting at?
They can, but
you understand what I'm talking about. That is
yes, right.
It's not a big hide-long grind. You've either got it or you don't, or something.
But to be a standout, to rise to the top, they had to pay their dues also.
In real terms,
they had to put the time in. And, I mean,
oh shucks! I was hoping it was all just something you could just get, you know, and not have to be doing all that busy work.
No, if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it.
You think so? You think so? I once had a friend. I was a professor, and I had a friend who was a great, well-known in his field. Who was in art, right? He was in the art, and like artists and everything. He was in the field of the art of jewelry, right? Kurt Matstroff was his name. He was the leading one in the world in terms of doing jewelry. And he used to do, the art department, they used to say to Kurt, okay, Kurt, there's a new class coming in this year in the art department. The new people are coming in, the young people. So, Kurt, what percentage of those that are coming into the incoming class do you think have it? You know? And he said,
what did he say?
He would always, it was just routine. Every spring it was the same. He would say, I think it's only about 4%. And I'd say, Kurt, for crying out loud, it was 5% last year. Maybe it could be 7%. He said, no, I think it's just 4%. You know, that it's just a few people have it.
That's right.
You know, it's a rare thing. Or there are other people who think that art is there in every child you can come into in a certain sense. Every child has a way of being so creative, you know. Is the creative thing widespread genetically? Or is it something that's rarefied for the very few?
It's rare.
Yeah.
I teach violin. I was for the city of Newark, Newark Preschool Council, and I had 3- and 4-year-olds.
Yeah, I got 4-year-olds are gorgeous.
I'll tell you,
they are gorgeous.
And they just but to get them to hold the violin, I had them all bowing it and playing it.
Yeah.
But it was a very big challenge.
Yeah.
And just to get them to hold it right.
Yeah.
And hold the bow.
Right. Right.
Because at that age they don't really have the. Well, I don't want to talk myself out of a job. But they don't have the motor skills yet.
Okay.
Developed.
Yeah.
And out of hundreds and hundreds of kids, there were some that had a natural ability that just picked it up. And girls seem to have a little better grasp of the violin.
So? For violin, yeah. Or the arts in general, maybe.
That's what I noticed in real life experience.
Well, we're getting off on a subject that has great ramifications in terms of whether everybody could be an artist. You know, wouldn't it be great?
It would be great.
Wouldn't it be great if
everybody
was an artist? But everybody's so bowed down by practicality.
Right.
You know, practicality is such a
everybody is born with gift. Yeah. In some area, everybody has gifts.
Yeah.
And the lucky ones discover what that gift is, and if they're lucky enough to pursue it and make a living at it, then their job is
you came right up make a living at it. Having to make a living is such a drag in a certain sense for so many people. How many people do you think are really just totally engaged, can hardly wait to get up in the morning to do what they want to do, and every day is a glorious, fulfilling thing, and they're so happy to be doing what they're doing?
How many do you think there are?
I don't know. It's been an interesting question. What percentage? I think it's relatively few.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if everybody could be like that? Is that possible or is that impossible? Do you understand what I'm saying?
That would be an ideal
because
world.
That would be because the arts are given such short shrift, don't you think, in terms of the commercial world?
Oh yeah.
I mean, you'll sell yourself out to do something that's just routine, you know, in order to make a living and feed the kids, right? You think we'd ever have a world where the creative muse could be released for everybody or something, or is that something that's idealistic and impractical? And you know, I'm getting at a philosophical thought.
Right, right. It would be wonderful, but if there was all artists and musicians, we wouldn't have anybody to bake the bread, sell hot dogs, bank.
Well, okay.
Oh well, that's another story.
That's another story, and maybe I shouldn't have even gone down that track.
But we need art. The artist needs an audience.
Well, it is. I had a friend who used to think about there's a difference between the goods of civil. There's a hierarchy of need. There's the urgent and the important. And the things that are really important, like art, are not urgent, or thought to be not. They're fluff in the minds of lots of people. What's urgent
in this country?
In the world, I think, you know, maybe that's what it's a question. But the things that are really important are not considered, urgent. And the things that are urgent, everybody's all concerned with and everything. The arts are a thing for, refined. Stop me. I'm getting off in a way of thinking that I shouldn't be doing, because I want to get around to another part of you, because you're also a singer and a songwriter.
Right.
So why don't we talk some about that,
sure.
Apart from playing the instrument and so forth. But talk about that. You write and compose songs? And
yes, I started.
What kind of songs?
All different flavors, all different genres. I've written rock and roll tunes, country, ballads, Cajun, Zydeco.
What comes first, the lyric or the melody?
It happens a lot of different ways. Sometimes I'll get a melody. Sometimes I'll have a chord progression, and the melody will come, and the words will come at the same time. And I'll just have throwaway words just to sing the melody, and then I'll rewrite and write better words. Sometimes I'll just get an idea, and I'll write a hook and the chorus and the words, and then make the melody up later.
Okay, I see. It's like that.
So they come in a lot of different ways.
So words and lyrics by Damian.
Yeah.
And you don't work with somebody else. You don't have anybody who does.
I have co-written down in Nashville, but not much. And I've co-written with very few people. But two heads are better than one.
You think so? Right?
Yeah.
You do?
Somebody that you can trust and get honest feedback, and say, oh, okay, that line isn't working, let's try this.
That's another special thing in terms of human experience.
Some of the great hits have six writers attached to them. Right?
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Is that right? Now they're doing all this mixing and everything. Technologically, they can get all kinds of sounds just like they can get all kinds of images and everything that are created. So what kind of songs? Did you use humor at all?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Is humor important? I think you got
I think you have
a little bit of an Irish-like kind of wit, or a wit to your consciousness.
I do. I
think you enjoy
I
sort
inherited
of a
the
good
Scottish-Irish wit.
Yeah.
Right.
And so what are some of the songs is there anything you'd want to deliver to us? Any of the songs
I don't have my guitar with me
You
today,
don't have a guitar. So those
let's see what's on. There might be something.
we do have a thing. Yeah,
we have this CD.
Let me hold that up.
Oh, sure.
Let me hold it up because this maybe
the best pictures on the back.
The best pictures. Oh God, who's that handsome fellow?
Thank you.
You got somebody.
I had a really good photographer.
Or somebody. Anyway, here's a picture of the CD. And this is, I'm going to show you the picture in the back because I don't know, I'm not so sure. I think this looks better to me than this. This looks like a young man. But anyway, you make a judgment here in the audience. You can make a judgment. We'll put it up like this. You can make a judgment. Which is better, the young man or this which we have before us in the moment in the flesh? Anyway, this is a CD. I'm sorry, I'm just playing with you.
I know you are.
Anyway, this is the Damian Boucher.
That's sold all over the world, and it's still available.
It's still available, yeah, and it's a CD. And I think we have it queued up in the booth, if they can queue it up, because you said you got a number of... Are these songs that you've written?
Yeah, I wrote all the words and the music.
And the words.
And I'm playing a lot of the instruments on the recording.
You play
but
other
I had
instruments?
some other, yes I do.
Yeah.
I play bass, I play guitar, mandolin.
Boy, you're a man of many talents.
Anything with strings, piano, I play keyboards, organ. But I had some good musicians on that CD that were in my band that went on to the greater things.
Like that's the band you were talking about when you were younger. And is this what you were doing? When was this taken?
That picture, that photograph was taken in, I think, 2001.
Oh, 2000. That's so long ago. Yeah.
Not so long ago. It was but I had in my band, George Rosselli was the drummer. He went on to Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones, and now he's with Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan now? How is Bob Dylan these days?
I don't know. I don't get to talk to him.
No, I didn't mean that. I just wondered as a general thing because the man was his poetry was so absolutely on the mark back in 69, 68, 67. He was absolute genius. It was just coming trippingly off his tongue.
Yeah.
Wish him all the best. I mean, he was the sign of the times that time, that magic time, 1970 and so forth,
Right. So going back to the songwriting, I've written some funny songs too about divorce. I went through a terrible divorce. And for therapy, it was very cathartic to write about it. And I did. Well, I wrote songs like There She Goes, starts with a D and ends with dollar signs.
That's a sign of the times. I had a friend of mine who once said, if you have dark times in your life, make sure one thing, if you're really down, really messed up, make sure you at least get a poem out of it.
Right, right.
But anyway, I wonder if maybe we could, because we're bringing it up, and they've got it, I think they may have, Drew may have it cleared up in the booth.
I work all week trying to save $1 just to spend my life renting a room for two. At night I go and get a bottle and I dream of them making love with you. Love with you can be a problem when the sun coming up means we gotta go home. All we do is dig it deeper, hold to bury our house before the feeling's through. Bury our house before the feeling's through. Yeah. This is what she says as she's walking out the door.
Okay, okay, that's good. That's your song, lyrics and so forth? Yeah, by you. Who was doing drum?
That was George Rosselli on the drums.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
He went on to Keith Richards, who's from the Rolling Stones. Yeah. And then he went to Bob Dylan's band.
Yeah, Bob Dylan's band now. I
don't know if they're touring or not.
Right.
And the accordion, I had a good accordion player out of Lake Charles, Louisiana. His name is Jimmy Mack, and I also had Kenny Margolis for a while.
These are all musicians. They know one another.
Right. Well, he's a good accordion player and keyboardist. He went on to a big rock band named Cracker.
I don't know. Okay.
But I had many different bands over the years. I mean, I had a band called Horse Opera that was we melded bluegrass with rock and roll. It was country rock, and we got picked up by Atlantic Records.
Wow, yeah, it's a big company.
And we were touring. We opened for the Allman Brothers.
Wow, yeah.
Marshall Tucker, Pure Prairie League.
Boy.
So I was in front of in stadiums in front of 35, 40,000 people.
35, 40,000 people. My
so
Lord.
I had
huge.
A taste of the big time.
Of the big time. You're too young to have been at the Woodstock Festival in '69.
You know what? That's my phone number, 1969. I was on my way to the Woodstock.
Yeah.
But my dad, ex-Marine, he said, You go to that concert, keep on going. Don't come home.
Oh, really? Isn't that something,
so
right?
I had to make a choice.
And you made a choice to go home.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm not sure. You missed a good show.
You were there?
Oh, yeah, we were there. Yeah, we were there. And if you look at the album for Woodstock, there's 600,000 souls there. The fences had all come down. Wavy Gravy was passing out all kinds of food. It was manifesting. Mr. Nelson Rockefeller declared a disaster zone. And they had, if you look at that thing, you'll see a little red dot. You can see a little red dot. And that was because I was from New Paltz, which is teaching in New Paltz. That was a sister community. And that was a red dot that we had a kind of mini commune and everything. And we had filled that. It was an 8-foot weather balloon that we had put down and tethered to the ground. So the people from Woodstock, because it was at White Lake, right? Right. And so they'd know where to gather.
It was at Yasgur's Farm.
Yeah, Yasgur's Farm down White Lake, 60 miles south.
Not Bethel. I played in Woodstock.
Yeah.
At the Tinker Street Cafe.
Yeah.
Remember that place and a few other places, but not many people realized that it wasn't even in Woodstock.
No, it was White Lake. Yeah. It was down 60 miles south. They couldn't do Yasgur's Farm. Yeah, it was great. And there were 600,000 people, and everybody sitting there. It hadn't had the heavy rain yet and everything, but they were all there, and it was just, there was this energy. It was just incredible. It was like an epiphany. There were some things going on. It was a
special time.
It was definitely a special time. I think.
Watch out for that Kool-Aid.
Yeah, well, there was all that kind of stuff, but there was something existentially going on at that time. I still hold
it was the summer of love.
Well, it was not only that, it was also a time of things existentially going on in terms of the evolutionary process. There was a real qualitative transformation that was being picked up on and blown in the wind like Bobby Dylan nailed.
Harold, before we run out of time,
I'd
like to mention my Irish trio.
Absolutely, okay,
St. Patrick's Day is coming up.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's in March,
I know, but it's going to be here before we know it.
Yeah, you're conscious of that.
And Cajun and Zydeco.
Yeah, right.
I have a Cajun and Zydeco band called Damian Boucher and Hot Sauce.
Okay.
And we'd love to do your Madi Gras party. And the Irish trio, Fiddle and Damian and the Irish Aliens.
Well, you're working with other people then, right?
Yeah, I have many musicians that are in my organization.
Well, there's you, and then you work with various people which has a group name
they work for me.
They work for you or with you.
I employ them.
You employ
and we
them
go out and make
and
people
play
happy.
various kinds of music, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, sure, that's okay. That's good. We don't have any examples of that now, then.
Actually, I brought an Irish CD with me, but they don't have it in the control.
No, we can't get that.
And I don't know if that picture will show up that I brought.
The picture of what? Let me see.
The Irish Aliens right here.
Okay, Irish Aliens.
Yeah, and it's right. This one right here.
Well, let's try it. Oh, yeah, I see. Okay, good. Let's hold it up and see if you can come in on this camera. This is talk to it. Talk to the picture.
This is the Irish Aliens, and we play all over the place during the month of March, we do the Shannon
March 17 particularly?
Well, yeah.
That's
but
the
whole
biggie.
month,
Is
now
March
they do it.
Irish month?
Yes, it is.
It is. That's my birthday month. It is.
It is your birthday?
Yeah, that's no birthday month, yeah.
It's become bigger than New Year's. It's bigger than New Year's.
Where? In the Irish community?
In the Irish
country,
community.
And in the country to a large degree.
Right. In all the Irish pubs and restaurants.
Well, it is spring, right? In the northern hemisphere anyway, yeah, like that.
And, you know, it's always, it's lively, happy music.
Green beer.
Yeah.
There seems to be a lot of green beer at that time, you know. And
a lot of green. There's a lot of green. There's a lot of green.
And green's just coming into its own with all the ecology stuff now.
Right.
So green is the thing. Yeah, my birthday was almost a national holiday. I was really, really lobbying for that. There was serious consideration to making my birthday a national holiday. I would love to have had my birthday be a national holiday and all the kiddies get out of school. We'd all go down and get an ice cream cone or do something. You know. But that was because it was Albert Einstein's birthday, March 14th. But it didn't. It got something else was put in there. But it would have been good to have some intellectual like Einstein.
Well, happy birthday. Happy
Well, it's not birthday. We're still in January,
I know,
my brother,
but
as
it's
we talk
coming up.
now. We don't want to be off peak. Okay, well, all of that. But anyway, at Woodstock, I would just say, and then it was my friend Richie Havens finally sang the first song that was sung. It was just
Freedom? Was it?
It was Freedom. He sang Freedom, and it was off. So it was a major event there back at Woodstock, to close quotes on that. Now listen, we got about 10 minutes left or something. So I think since you got your axe or your instrument, maybe you could do a little rendition or a little playing of some things that you particularly like or something.
Sure.
We got about 10 minutes left. Let me just check on the time for you. Yeah, we have about 11 minutes left. So why don't you do some playing of the fiddle, both in a way that you might like to be able to demonstrate.
Okay. There's so many songs. I'm gonna make up a little bluesy one right now.
Okay. Make it up?
I'm gonna make it up.
No, you're gonna make it up a cappella?
Right here.
I mean, you're just making it on the spot?
Yeah.
You're playing spontaneous?
Yes.
Okay, this may be something really good. See? Yeah. I mean, extraordinary. Creative moment.
Help me out. Thank you.
You were having a good time, weren't you? You were just making that up. Right?
Yeah.
You were just playing that right off the top of your head. That's good. You can go all over the place. You had all kinds of different. You engendered all kinds of different feelings in me with the tone of the thing. And you were just bouncing around. It was a really creative moment. That's like spontaneous, free-form jazz.
Yeah.
You like to do that kind of thing with other people?
Yes, I do.
Other instruments, right?
Yes.
And what are you doing? If you got an audience, you're playing that kind of music, what kind of dancing are people doing to that? Can people dance to that kind of music?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they do.
You can feel the beat, right?
You can feel it. It's like a sort of, you made me think of Yellow Man or something like that in some ports and that. I mean, yeah, really good. So that's fun. That's really a fun thing for you to do and everything.
Yeah.
You enjoy that, right? And
I usually do it better than that.
Better than that? What,
yeah.
You didn't think that was very good?
I was okay.
Yeah, okay. Is there some time of day that is best for you, or maybe a couple of beers help, or something like that?
Some liquid confidence.
It does.
Some liquid confidence.
And some good backup musicians.
And some good, and
people that are in the right spirit.
A good rhythm section.
You sound to me like a really good party guy. You were at our party at Christmas time, and boy, you were there until 6 in the morning or something like that, and it was really rocking out there.
come alive at night. I guess I'm a night.
You like that? You
I'm
like
a
that?
nighthawk.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, that's really good, and I wished I don't have the skill for that. I wished I did. I really lacked that, and I wished I did have that. But thank God for having people that can do that kind of music and everything. So, how are you?
If they want to see me live, I play a regular. I play a regular show. Every Saturday, 7 to 11, at a really nice restaurant called Above. Wow. It's in South Orange, right by the train station. It's 1 South Orange Ave. It's above an all-natural organic grocery store called Eden. Boy, it's really easy to get to.
All natural.
It's right next to the train station.
That's right in keeping with the zeitgeist, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's so in now, right? You follow all that? You follow all that green stuff? You eat careful food? And
I try.
You do?
I'm trying to get healthy, yeah.
You're trying to get healthy.
Oatmeal with blueberries. I juice carrots and ginger root.
And did I hear you say you had a regular venue there?
Yeah, it's a regular venue, and the food is outrageous.
Yeah, right.
It's, I wouldn't say Is
it all healthy food?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah. That's a good thing to encourage.
It's a very diverse menu.
Do you have any thoughts politically and so forth at all? Are you political?
I try not. I do have a lot of thoughts politically, but I try not to talk about them.
Oh, you do have thoughts. I'm sorry, I thought you said
I do have a lot of thoughts about,
But you
I
don't like to talk about
I don't talk politics too much.
You know, or you don't feel it.
I'll get in trouble.
It doesn't inform what you're doing. You don't try to get a special thing in the.
I write about it in my songs.
If you have a song and you got a particular like that could really say a lot about politics. You know what I mean?
I do write. Yeah. I do have things that have statements about the way things are going in our culture in my songs. Like, for example, Home of the Slave.
That speaks world. That speaks world. Yeah, but why do you tend to avoid it? I mean, because it's very in now to be against the system, don't you think? I mean, it has been for a long time.
Yeah.
The times they are the same is not the words that are wanting to be heard.
You'll sink like a stone.
Did you sink like a stone, that kind of stuff? Did you get involved at all in the Occupy movement when it was trying to breathe its life into that kind of thing? Or the vast critique of the overall system that is being...
I went down to see them. I went down to see them.
Yeah.
But, you know, I really... I wish we could keep the momentum going. It was too fractured. They had too many issues they wanted to deal with. You really have to, if you want to get something done, you have to focus on one thing at a time.
Maybe that's back to you have to practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You say you have to practice and everything. You have to focus on one thing at a time. I don't know. Do you think there's going to be some big changes coming now?
We need them for sure.
I mean, big change across the board. It's like everything almost has to be brought into question, it seems to me. And
I hope there's some big changes
in the fullness of time. I think if we don't blow it all up with the weapons that we have or some sort of nonsense like that we've been very much part of the human condition over the historical thing, is that I think 1970 is likely to be seen in the long term as year one. There was something going on that was happening then. You were part of it. and I congratulate you on having picked up on the music and doing all of that. And so I think it's in the thing. What was the name of the one about the slaves?
Home of the slaves.
Home of the slaves.
Yeah.
Oh, home with the slaves.
Oh, say can you see the land of not free? Home of the slaves, where seldom is heard an encouraging word, and the skies are cloudy all day.
I think you just revealed yourself to the audience.
Home of the strange.
Yes, right.
Violence, fear, and AIDS. How can we escape from the mistakes? Lying, cheating games.
Oh yeah, but you don't like to be political at all.
It's in my songs.
One of the problems is one of the tyrannies of everything is time. We run out of time. Damian, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Your pleasure to have the perceptions of violinist extraordinaire Damian Boucher, and he's also a singer, songwriter. Happy to bring those events to you. I think he's revealed his politics, his inclination, and that could be an inspiration in itself and everything. So thanks a lot for coming in. Really good to talk to you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
A beginning of another beautiful friendship, I would hope, right? Thank you in the audience for viewing. We'll be coming back again tomorrow. That's one more. Thank you very much for coming in, Damian. Great pleasure.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure to be here, Harold.
Okay. Well, play away.
I work all week trying to save $1 just to spend my life renting a room for two. At night I go and get a bottle and I dream of them making love with you. Love with you can be a problem when the sun coming up means we gotta go home. All we do is dig a deeper hole to bury our house before the feeling's through. Bury our house before the feeling's through. Hey.